30 years living one way, 6 months of freedom. Which one do you think is stronger? I'll give you the answer at the end of this video. But first, I need to ask you something. Has anyone in your life ever told you who you were? Not once, repeatedly, out loud, to your face, and you believed them. Not because it was true, but because they were the person who was supposed to love you. I was first told I was dangerous, evil, and jealous at 13 years old. I was a child, and I believed that lie for almost 20 years. Today I'm going to tell you how that happened, and more importantly, how I finally stopped believing it. Welcome back to The Healing is in You. My name is Lana. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman who has been through a lot, who went through very difficult things as a child and a teenager, and who, after 30 years of trying to understand feelings, trying to understand emotions, trying to understand herself, 6 months ago, began to truly set herself free. This channel exists for women who grew up in homes where love was complicated, where the person who was supposed to protect you hurt you instead, where words were used as weapons, where you grew up believing things about yourself that were never true. If that's you, you're in the right place. Today we're going to talk about childhood emotional abuse, about the toxic beliefs a narcissistic mother plants in a child, and about how I finally stopped carrying a weight that was never mine. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, something might shift for you too. I need to tell you a memory. I was a child, a teenager, and I lived in a home where emotional abuse was daily. My mother had 2 ways of destroying me, and she used both. The first was direct. She would look me in the eyes and say out loud, "You will be nothing in life. You will be a failure. You are dangerous. You are evil. You are jealous." And in the same breath, she would turn to my sister and say, "You are going to be wonderful. You are going to succeed in life." She knew what she was doing. She used to say it herself. A mother's words have power. And right there in front of me, she was blessing one daughter and cursing the other. And in that moment, something in me broke. Not from anger, not from revolt, but from confusion, because I was a child. And when your mother tells you who you are, you believe her. You don't question it. You internalize it. And those words, dangerous, evil, jealous, failure, became the way I saw myself for almost 20 years. And there was a second way, more subtle, but equally calculated. My sister had a diary, one of those with a password, where a child writes her memories, her secrets, her dreams, a symbol of something pure, something innocent. And my mother would say to her, knowing I was in the same room, knowing I would hear, "Hide that diary from Lana. Don't let her see what you're writing. Be careful around her. She is dangerous. She is evil. She is jealous." It wasn't carelessness. It wasn't her forgetting I was there. It was intentional. It was meant for me to hear. It was meant for me to believe. And I believed it. This is what psychological abuse does. This is what a toxic mother does. She doesn't only hurt you directly, she poisons the relationships around you. She plants fear in other people about who you are. She creates a narrative about you before you ever have a chance to create your own. And that diary became the clearest symbol of my exclusion, that I was the evil one, that I didn't deserve to see good things, that I was a threat, even to my own sister. Between me and my sister, without either of us having done anything to the other, a wall was built. She became afraid of me. I started pulling away from her so I wouldn't hurt her. 2 girls, 2 sisters. separated by a lie their mother planted. This has a name. It's called childhood trauma caused by emotional abuse. And the effects last for decades if we don't stop to understand what happened. And today, as an adult, I still feel a certain discomfort around my sister. Not because she is bad, but because many of her gestures, the way she speaks, the way she acts, remind me of my mother. And the body reacts before the mind understands. That is unresolved childhood trauma. It doesn't disappear when you grow up. It shows up in the places you least expect. Before I continue, if what I'm sharing is resonating with you, this channel is going to be a safe space for exactly these conversations. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Because we are just getting started. For a long time, I thought distance was healing. That when I left that environment, when I got away from her, everything would automatically get better. It didn't. Because the patterns I lived with her since childhood were inside me. In the beliefs I carried, in the way I saw myself, in the stories I told about myself. I am dangerous. I am evil. I am going to be a failure. She didn't need to be present anymore, to keep hurting me. She had already planted everything inside me. This is what generational trauma does. This is what the psychological abuse of a narcissistic mother does. She doesn't need to be in your life anymore to keep controlling you, because her voice is already inside your head, and you carry that for decades without knowing the name of what you're carrying. Today I understand something that took many years to arrive. The beliefs that were planted in me were not about me. They were about her. The one who called me jealous was the jealous one. The one who called me dangerous was the one causing harm. The one who called me evil was the one acting with cruelty. The one who said I would be a failure was the one who failed as a mother. She wasn't describing me. She was projecting onto me what she was. This has a name in psychology. It's called projection, and it's one of the most common tools of toxic and narcissistic people. A child has no way of knowing this. A child believes her mother, but a 30-year-old woman with awareness, with therapy, with the willingness to look back, can see it. And when I saw it, something in me released. She was just a wounded person who chose not to heal and who chose to wound others instead. She repeated patterns she probably lived through herself, but at some point she had awareness and she chose not to change. I also have awareness of what I lived through, and I choose to change. That is the difference. And that choice to change, to heal, to break the cycle, is what separates those who repeat trauma from those who transform it. And one of the greatest signs of that change for me is that I want to have daughters. For a long time, I didn't. Because I was afraid of not knowing how to care for them, how to protect them, how to love them. Afraid of unknowingly repeating what was done to me. But it was exactly that fear that showed me something important. I am not her, because she was never afraid of hurting me, and I am afraid of hurting. That fear is love. That fear is awareness. That fear is exactly what separates me from her. And do you know what my dream is? To reach my 50s, my 60s, and have people come to me and say, I did this, I achieved that, I am so happy, and feel genuinely happy for them, because I also lived. I lived happiness, I lived love, I lived incredible experiences, I dreamed, and I made those dreams real, because everyone deserves it. Everyone needs it. Everyone has the right to experience life, to live, to be happy, to be their best. Because the only person we compete with is ourselves. There is no competition with others. There is your journey, and there is theirs. And when you understand that, other people's joy no longer hurts. It only inspires. That is the result of healing, not the absence of pain, but the genuine presence of joy for others. So, back to where we started. 30 years living one way, 6 months of freedom. Which is stronger? For a long time, 30 years wins. Every time. The old voice is more familiar. The old beliefs are louder. You'll have days when you believe them again. That's not failure. That's just the weight of 30 years. But every day, you choose to see yourself differently. Every time you swap, I am the problem, for I was a child who needed protection. You are rewriting it. Slowly, imperfectly, but truly. If someone planted beliefs in you when you were a child, if you grew up believing you were the problem, I want you to hear this. You were not the problem. You never were. What they told you about yourself was a reflection of what they were, not of what you are. The healing is not in that person. It's not in an explanation they will never give you. The healing is in you. It always was. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Has anyone in your life ever told you who you were, and you believed it for a long time? Leave it in the comments. You don't have to explain everything. One word is enough. Because sometimes, the most healing thing is simply knowing you're not alone. See you on Friday.